gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for February 24th, 2023. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, WB just announced Mortal Kombat 12 out of nowhere, and Sony's State of Play disappointed most fans. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's my friend and yours, Dave Tach. Dave, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to have you here. I love you. I love you.
I love you too.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you here. I want you to do me a favor and tell the people about yourself a little bit. Where you come from, where you've been, where you're headed.
We're both in Ohio.
That's
Can
right.
I start there?
Yeah,
we're not
absolutely.
very far away from each other.
Yeah, we hung out recently. It was great. It was fantastic stuff. I'm
enormous grilled cheese sandwiches.
Yes, we did. Yes, it was a good sandwich. I could only eat half, and then I got home and ate the rest, Dave. I finished it. I hope you're proud of me.
Yeah, I am.
Thank you.
Where I am, where I'm from. Oh, if anybody knows me at all, which I just sort of assume nobody does, it would be from Polygon, where I was for about a decade.
Yep.
I started doing news. I had a sort of transitioned over into podcasts for a while, and then ended up doing guides for the last several years over there and running the guides department.
Here's what I like. You are the exact opposite of me. You get a lot of work done and you don't get in front of people's faces. I do very little work and just throw myself out there. So I'm you can't ignore me. So I'm like, let's fix that a little bit. Let's get David and put it out in front of people.
I need a little more grub.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I need a little more grub in general, but like I'm the world's worst self-promoter. So I need a little more. I got to brand stuff with my name.
Yes,
and what I've learned,
and it's a personal brand that like when I get get to hang out with you, I'm like, oh, this is a great brand this guy's got going, but it's not out there. So we're gonna fix that today. We're gonna get it out there.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
I'm ready for this week to be over. I was telling you a little bit, everything was breaking on me. I think I have successfully troubleshooted at least one thing. Shout outs to my mod Christian, who was helping me a little bit. It started when I did the display driver uninstaller. I'm like, everything started there and then seemed to fix it, but didn't quite. But I'm like, this is better. Something along these lines. I don't think my GPU is actually dying. And then I discovered it was NVIDIA broadcasts, the SDK. It was just every time I would open up OBS, everything would start flashing black. And I'm like, okay, I think it's that. I uninstalled that. And since then, this morning, everything's been running a lot better. Now, there's 5 or 6 other things breaking in my life, but whatever. I'm going to go.
This is working.
I'm going to go hang out with a Minotti for one of their birthdays this weekend. Then I'm going to go fix this computer all weekend. I think that's the plan. That's the plan.
Fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it's one mess after another. But let's get into today's mess. Before we do that, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with the state of play. It happened yesterday. I got a roundup here from Kotaku I'll bring up in a second. But Dave, did you watch this? What were your expectations? How did it feel for you?
I mean, I feel like state of plays are a self-contained thing. Like it was exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Yes, same here.
I mean, yeah, is that how you feel basically?
Yes, that's how, I mean, I at this point, we've been through this so many times where it is always easy to get your expectations high. It is. But at this point, for this one specifically, especially since I've been hearing there's a big showcase coming in a little bit. We'll talk about that here at the end of this topic. It's like this one always seemed like it was going to be a lightweight. And it was. There was a lot of stuff that we either already knew about or is coming very soon. And it was a marketing beat and it felt very much like that, right?
Yeah, right. Well, that's the whole point, isn't it? Look at all this cool stuff that's coming to our platform.
Yes, exactly right. And I got the Kotaku sort of roundup here. So going into it, I thought one of the big things they were going to have to do is, all right, they've launched PSVR 2. There is a lineup of games that is mostly stuff that is known quantities, and then there are a select handful of games that might feel like they really define the system, but mostly it's just that one. It's Horizon Call of the Mountain. Clearly, they are going to go into this state of play, even though it's just partners, and they will put their best foot forward. And I'm not sure that these 5 VR games that they showed off accomplish that, although, you know, every little bit helps, but still many of them are, once again, known quantities. Even in the ones that are new also look pretty familiar. So like Foglands, we could just kind of start there a little bit. That's a shooting gallery. It's got skeletons, spiders, all that stuff, but it's just another VR shooting gallery. Green Hell is a VR survival game. And then Synapse is a stylish shooter with telekinesis powers. Some of these things look pretty cool. I just don't know if it's telling the story of why you absolutely need a PSVR 2. I don't know how you felt about it.
I feel like we're still, I say we, like I have any skin in this game, but I feel like the industry is still figuring out what VR is. Like there are the obvious sorts of games. I had the Quest. I have the Quest 2. They are aggressive about sending me emails with discounts and stuff. Like every day I feel like I get a 30% or a $10 or something off. And like, they're really trying to push games out on the systems. And there are some cool games, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's still a little bit Wild West for the entire ecosystem. And I don't think that's a problem that Sony has solved. I think that's just when you say these are the kinds of games that we've seen before, just different flavors or varieties of that. I think that's true, but I think that's kind of what I expected as well.
Yeah, I just, for a state of play showing PlayStation 5 games, getting a lot of stuff that is known quantities, that's one thing. We know that Sony can successfully build exciting games and can work with partners to bring exciting games to the PlayStation 5. When it's PSVR 2 and it's $50 more expensive than the PlayStation 5, the thing that you also need on top of that, and it's the VR ecosystem that we know is not being invested in the same way it was before, and we can see that with our own eyes now when we see like this is what they're offering. It's the narrative of PSVR 2 begins to fall apart a little bit more quickly, I think. So we'll see if that changes again with that showcase that's coming up. Maybe that's when they're saving an Astrobot game. Maybe that's where they're going to announce a partnership with Half-Life Alyx. I don't know why they would wait on those things. They need to sell PSVR 2s now. It doesn't seem like this thing is going to take off based on what they've shown now.
Why do you think they need to sell them now?
Because the early word I'm hearing from people that's working in retail is this is nothing like any of the recent hardware launches where these things are flying off shelves and they're getting calls about, do you have them in? Do you have them in? I mean, it's anecdotal. I've heard a couple of stores where we've sold 1, we've sold 3. The rest of the 10 or 12 are just sitting here. And it's, that's, I don't know. Again, anecdotal. I'm not saying go out and like sell your Sony stock or anything, but it's like, that is, I think, probably indicative of what is happening in most places. And I think that by this holiday, we will see aggressive price drops on this thing and aggressive deals. And I don't know if that really does enough if the games still aren't there.
My read is that their job right now, I mean, obviously you want a big launch. Everybody wants a big launch. It's sort of axiomatic. But I feel like the rest of this year is just ramping up games and hyping everybody up for essentially the holiday period where, I don't know, I think what you're saying is that and it doesn't surprise me in the least that the early adopter thing isn't super huge, but I don't feel like VR is super huge. And I don't think that I have no expectation that Sony is going to turn it into I think it's just like VR anywhere else, which is kind of niche.
Yep. And I think that's exactly what we are. The sense we're getting from that launch, from the games that are available at launch, and then from these 5 games, I think what you just said is exactly what's happening, and that's why it feels that way, because that's the truth. I did think that the Journey to Foundation game that's on the screen right now, based on Foundation by Isaac Asimov, that looks pretty neat. There's some cool stuff happening there. Yeah, it could be interesting. Then Before Your Eyes, which apparently is a game that's already out on Netflix, a video game that's out on Netflix. Yeah. And it's also I think it's also on PC, but so the thing here is this is a game that tracks your eyes, and when you blink, it jumps forward in time. So I think it's you're in the afterlife, you're reliving your life, and you're like, he's like, remember your earliest memory. That sounds really cool to me. And every time you blink, we're going to jump forward in time. Well, that sounds very cool. Apparently this works on PC with a webcam. I still think in VR it could be very, very special. So I'm like, oh, this sounds pretty cool as well. These specialized experiences are maybe the things that are the most likely to get me to be excited enough to spend $550 on a PSVR 2. I don't know about you. What do you think?
Well, it's something you can't do elsewhere, right? Like, what's the reason to buy?
You're not immersed in it. It's like it is happening on the screen, right? So it's like this is that next level of it that you're right. You can't do that part of it anywhere else.
Right. Yep. I think that's it, right? It's those experiences. I don't know, the Wii Sports maybe experience, like what's the equivalent of those things where it's like, oh, you can't really, I want this because this is the only place I can do this.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that brings, I think, more people into VR other than, like I said, early adopters who are just interested and want to be there.
Yeah, Cognitive Dissonance says, Before Your Eyes is amazing. Turns out when you're crying, you blink a lot. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check this out, whether I'm on PSVR 2 or not. I'll find a way to play this. I'm glad that people seem to like it. It looks very good. Those were the VR games, though. We also had a Destiny 2 Lightfall launch trailer that I thought looked very good. Now it was a cinematic trailer. They're doing a good job of ramping up excitement for Destiny 2 stuff still. I think that Bungie going independent and realizing what they need, which is basically just be the new Blizzard a little bit, where keep making your content, be in good communication with your fans, even though your fans are lunatics for the most part, like just be in pretty good communication with them, deliver what they need, and then put out a big, bombastic, expensive looking cinematic trailer right before you're about to launch. That's the Blizzard way. And then I'll go, now Bungie's taking that over. I think it's a good fit for them. Are you I'm assuming, being a guides writer for many years, you probably had to be in Destiny, right?
I was in mostly at the beginning, and then just anecdotally, my experience is that like you're all in on a game like that or you're not. So I was huge and all in for certain periods. And then I sort of backed out and found, as an editor, people to write about the game for me. You know, I have a friend who's super into Destiny, and Chris is always looking forward to the next thing, always involved in some way in the conversation about what's going on. And I know, again, it's one doesn't make a pattern, but I think he's pretty representative of the non-crazy Destiny fan who's interested in having reasons to come back.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, those are the ones that I know that are the most normal. Like, when there's new stuff, I show up and play. I drop everything else and I show up and play the new Destiny stuff, and then I'm done. And the Destiny folks have said repeatedly, like, that's kind of who we're building this game for. It seems to be the healthiest way to approach the game and to approach making the game. And again, I thought that trailer looked really good. It'll take a lot to get me back into Destiny, but man, that's fine. Eventually, I think it's going to happen. It feels like it's building in that direction.
Yeah.
Then there was a Chia. It's it kind of looks a lot like Zelda. I thought it looked pretty cool. They had Humanity from Enhanced Games. This was definitely a standout for me. Humanity is a puzzle lemmings like game where you play as a ghost dog, and a massive crowd of humans follow you around. I don't know how it works, but there's a demo. Okay. I downloaded that. I'm going to try it out soon. Ooh.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was a demo. Yeah, I got to check that out. It looks great. It looks. Did you ever play The Last Guy?
No.
It's this. I'm going super obscure here.
Please,
but it was a PlayStation 3 like indie game where you were essentially doing crowd control. It's not exactly the same, but I got vibes of like little game where you do interesting, silly things.
Yeah.
While I don't know, we're like, you're the one person and there's a gajillion other things that are moving around and you get to control it.
Yeah, it's something very interesting about it. I love Enhance. I love Tetris Effect. So give me more of that. Goodbye Volcano High, a game where Dan Reichert thought we were playing as a dolphin, but I think they're dinosaurs. And they have,
couldn't tell.
Yeah, I can't really tell you there, but they're sexy animals in a band, and they have it seems like they have romance and a rhythm visual novel is how they describe it. So that's definitely for a lot of people out there, and I'm very happy for them. And speaking of something for people, and I'm happy for them, Naruto, Boruto, Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections. I don't know, this actually
rolls right off the tongue.
It does, absolutely. It's just the most beautiful phrase in the English language. It looked pretty good. I mean, I've watched the first 50 episodes of Naruto now, so I'm basically an expert. Yeah, it looked all not too bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Slacker Chan chat says, no, that was a bad trailer. So there you go.
No, never mind.
Baldur's Gate 3. This is one we'll talk about a little bit. There's another news story related to this, but that's getting a little bit of the PS5 co-marketing deal. They announced early access is coming to an end. It's going to launch on August 31st on PC and PlayStation 5, a few other platforms as well. Not Xbox yet, but again, that'll be in the other story. Are you a Divinity Original Sin, Baldur's Gate person?
I have dabbled, but I haven't gone deep into it's a little bit like Destiny, actually, in for a while and then backed out. I honestly I lost track of how complete Baldur's Gate 3 is at this point.
Yeah.
I don't are they just drawing a line in the sand and saying this is the done version?
At a certain point, they got to just pull the Band-Aid off, right? I think that's true, how it kind of works at a certain point with early access. This is a studio that has put out multiple big RPGs like this. This is not sort of so outside the scope that they don't understand what they've built here. So I think that they are probably looking at it and be like, yeah, of course we could keep working on this forever and keep improving it, but we do have to launch it eventually. This does feel like, okay, man, the right time, right before the holidays this year. Are you really going to wait like a whole other year? No, just do it now, get it out there. And then, if you do have another launch on Xbox, that's another chance to sort of update the game and get people excited about it all over again. So yeah, I can go play this game right now in early access, and I'm like, I might actually do that.
Right.
But then August is not that far away either.
Does it have J.K. Simmons?
That's right.
Right now?
No, I don't know. I need to find out. So. Wayfinder, which is it's the new, Digital Extremes. This is their kind of massively multiplayer online action game, I think. It's Digital Extremes is the what is their shooter? I can never remember the name of it. The one with the weird guys and Warframe. Thank you, Slacker Chan. Yes, Warframe. The Warframe studio is doing Wayfinder, and I think that I'm almost surprised that the Warfinder team is launching this whole other game after being so focused on Warfinder Warframe for so long. Right. But I guess that makes sense. Your studio's been successful. Warframe's been growing and growing and growing. Why not begin to try to replicate that with a new thing? I don't know. Did you watch this trailer? What did you think of it?
I did. I think it's pretty. Yeah. I mean, I like it. I'm not. This isn't my sort of game, so I don't know how. I'm maybe not the best to evaluate how the classes or whatever work together. But as a casual, would I play this game based on this trailer? I thought, yeah, that'll work.
And then get to some of the real good stuff here. Street Fighter 6 just looked fantastic. They showed off Zangief, Cammy, and Lily, I think is the name of the new character. All three looked incredible. I am someone who played a ton of Street Fighter 2 and then has only dabbled in fighting games since then. And I think I am ready to go back. This game just looks so good. I don't know. How about you?
I am the world's worst fighting game player. I don't tell anybody because that's embarrassing.
Course, yes.
But Street Fighter 2 was sort of everything on SNES for me and my friends for a year in, I don't know, junior high or whatever. So it doesn't matter whether I'm good or bad at them. I always get excited about them. But I have no idea if I'll ever be good enough.
Yes, I think I'm going to be bad. I think the plan is to have some of my fighting game friends teach me how to play this one because I want to be good enough to have a good time with it. That's all I'm asking for. And it just looks so much fun. I think that's watching that trailer yesterday. It really seemed like that was the guiding North Star is anything we do, just make sure it's fun. And I'm like, okay, go count me in. That looks great. The game's coming out.
I like fun.
You know what? I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but I like fun. I don't know. I know that's dangerous to say these days. Resident Evil 4, we got a new trailer for that. They showed the whole kind of second/third section of the game with the little boy Prince guy. Once again looks phenomenal. And also they showed a ton of the game. People are like, man, this is the whole thing. I feel like it's a very old game at this point. Everyone on Earth has probably played it. And if you haven't, well, I'm sorry. I want to see these parts even before it's out. So it looks really good. What'd you think?
Yeah, I love Resident Evil 4. It was the first Resident Evil game that I loved. excuse me, in my mind, Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 were impressive, but I didn't get into them when, in fact, I played Resident Evil 4 for the first time on the Wii.
Really? Okay.
With the Wiimote,
the waggle
controls, and it was amazing. And I bought it at least twice since then. I bought the VR version. I bought that one. Is it 360 version, or did they make one for? Yeah,
there was, yes.
Yeah. Frankly, it's such a great game that I'm happy that it's still around, and it's like Pac-Man. I will just buy it whenever somebody else puts it out on a platform. It looks great to me.
I'm sorry, I'm just seeing in chat. It's very distracting, but it's very good. My friend Mike Minotti, who's also in Ohio, Dave, he is afraid of apples, and it looks like Jan has just added an emote.
Perfect.
Of his face in an apple.
Beautiful.
It's just awesome. Yeah, get his ass. Man. And then there was a big, long section for Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. They said beforehand, we're going to show a lot of this game. Get ready for it. I still wasn't ready for it, Dave. So during it, I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm mostly tuning out what they're talking about. But as I've sort of like grappled with what they showed me, and then seen more images pop up, and I'm like kind of looking closer, I kind of think I hate what they're doing. I kind of think I hate it. I don't know. There's this one image of Captain Boomerang holding a big gun with a dumb skin on it, and he's got a big dumb look on his face. Whatever. That character's supposed to be that way. That's not the problem. And then there's this giant menu next to him of all of these Destiny division-like numbers of things going up a couple percentage points, and you're going to get a 100% chance for burn on a critical reload, and all that stuff. It's like it's a lot of times in games, and maybe on context, this always happens. I complain about something before a game comes out. In context, it really works. But I just look at this, and it feels so generic and so applied from trends that they feel like they're chasing, that it just makes the game look and feel completely soulless, based at least on the marketing right now. I don't know. I might be overreacting. Probably am. I don't know what you think.
I don't think I'm being fair, because I just want more Batman-like stuff, and that is not the game they're making. Yeah. So I have to divorce myself from this idea that, like, I have this weird reaction. Unfair,
though, because it's just the studio that made the Batman stuff, and now they're making a third-person shooter that is mostly gunplay based. It's weird and disappointing.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's fair. I haven't decided whether it's fair to criticize them for the game they're not making. Yeah. Right. And I'm trying to evaluate it based on what they're showing me, and based on I don't know. I can't ding somebody for not making a sequel, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I can't get mad at a director of a movie for not making another thing in that movie. But that said, even the stuff that I do see isn't super appealing to me. I'm interested. I was most interested in that long, like, gameplay section in the end, when they were talking, when they were setting up the why kill the Justice League thing. Like, that I thought was more interesting than watching a lot of acrobatic maneuvers, a lot of
people are comparing it to Crackdown. I get that. I see that. Which I like jumping around in Crackdown.
Yeah, right. It could be a lot of fun. It's just not. I think Rocksteady and I mean, it's their success sort of pigeonholes them, at least in my mind, to this thing, and that's not what I'm seeing. That's just not the game they chose to make, and I'm not super interested in it. But then again, I don't know. Me and three friends hopping in there in a big open environment could be a lot of fun. Obviously, they have designed around big, bombastic, floaty moves.
Yeah, right. Once we're playing it, I bet a lot of people are going to have a lot of fun with this game. I think that's absolutely true. I think that it's still, even though it's not a sequel, can't ding them for that. It does look very derivative at the same time, though, and I think so. It's in that, and it's a follow-up, a successor. It takes place in the same universe, but still, it's not a sequel. But all the stuff that we're seeing feels like, okay, this is just taken from that game that's very successful. And, they knew they had to make an online multiplayer game because no matter what kind of game you make as a single player game, online multiplayer games just tend to sell better. They just do. And it's, well, that's maybe starting to shift a little bit these days with things like Elden Ring. And we'll talk about Hogwarts Legacy selling really well. But yeah, this game is going after, it's clearly was decided upon at a time when Destiny was very popular. Like you could just see it. And now Division has come and gone. 2 divisions have come and gone since then. And now we have this game that just feels exactly in that same wheelhouse and doesn't feel like it's going to be able to set itself apart all that much. And if it does, will it have enough content? Will it just run into the Avengers issue? That seems just as likely. So, but
it's sort of the toughest kind of game to make in a lot of ways, right? Where it's like success on this game is based on keeping those Destiny players we were talking about, right? Enough of those core players around. Although there is, in Destiny too, but like, there's a single player campaign. Maybe that's what I'll be most interested in, frankly.
Yeah.
And so something as good as Arkham stuff.
Right. For the single player campaign, they fill in the, your partners in the Suicide Squad with AI. I bet that they are going to be good enough to just kind of mostly stay to the side, stay out of your way, and let you play the game.
You don't want them to be too good. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Just get out of the way and don't cause any problems. I don't know. I see this acrobatic stuff, and I'm that looks fun. Okay, then I see a goddamn tank with glowing weak spots. And there's a helicopter with glowing weak spots. And actually, I begin to lose my mind a little bit. Like, okay, why does this look so bad? Like, okay, the game, the characters look very realistic, but the big glowy purple weak spot on a friggin' helicopter is just so stupid. It makes me so infuriated. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I just needed to talk to someone about it. You
feel better?
Yeah. No.
Good.
No, I don't actually.
How long do they have to work on this? When is this out?
It's out in May, right? It's out the end of May. So we're there. This is it.
They could take out the purple until May. I mean, before May.
Yeah, maybe try a different color. Maybe just get the hue tool out and see what happens. All right, that was the PlayStation State of Play, though. That is also kind of what I was expecting from it. I had always heard it would be a very low key show. It was exactly that. And if you're wondering, well, where's the PlayStation stuff? Where's the first party stuff? Well, they said it wouldn't be here, but still, then where is it? Apparently, they are working on a PlayStation showcase, according to people I've talked to, that is supposed to happen before the E3 timeframe. So I don't know exactly what that means. I would say it's probably May, but just I've heard before E3. They were going to have a PlayStation showcase in the fall. That was the plan. And then when they started talking to their studios, the studios were saying, well, we're working on these games. These games are getting ready. But in terms of being able to build assets for a showcase, here's all we can get ready. And then when Sony looked at that, they're like, this is not enough for a showcase. Let's just postpone it. We'll do a smaller state of play instead. And that's what they ended up doing last fall. But now that showcase that was supposed to happen, where they just put a bunch of stuff to the side and kept working on it, does sound like it's shaping up. And they're planning on doing it here pretty soon. Now, of course, it's a plan that could still change, just like the last one did. But that's the plan right now. My expectation here, Dave, is that this sets up the next couple years for the PlayStation 5. I think that we know Insomniac, right? We know Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine. And then, everyone else is mostly a question mark. We have some guesses and some informed speculation. And, we've heard things like, oh, yeah, we know Last of Us Factions is coming from Naughty Dog. But what else is Naughty Dog working on? I don't know if that'll be at the showcase, but a lot of questions like that are still up in the air. And I think Sony is getting ready to at least provide answers for many of their studios. How are you feeling about Sony's upcoming slate of games and the future of the PS5? And what do you think a showcase would need?
This is a weird console generation, right? Because of when it launched, the pandemic, nothing feels to me like nothing has gone according to whatever plan there was.
Definitely.
And that's not necessarily anybody's fault. That's just sort of life in the weird universe we live in and have been living in. So everything continues to feel sort of slow and drawn out more than maybe I would have expected. And yeah, I do think that there's a lot of setup here and a lot of stuff still to come, but I kind of don't have a clue what that still to come stuff is.
Yeah.
Honestly, clearly they have to. I mean, just look back at every console ever, and there are surprise things. There are late life console life games to come. But like everything takes forever to make. And when do you announce that? And why do you buy this now instead of later, or on this console rather than the other? Those are all questions that have been open for me. Like, it's going to be 2.5 years this console is, right?
Yeah,
it's
old at this point.
Strange.
Yeah, that's been that long.
It still feels way newer to me. I don't know if anybody else feels that way.
I think a lot of people share that. I do. I guess I say that a lot of times. People are like, "Hey, those generation's already 2 years old." I'm like, okay, I mean, it just doesn't feel that way.
No.
But I mean, if I start throwing things out there, Ghost of Tsushima 2, we probably we could hear about that. It's been 3 years. They could talk about it and say that's coming in, 2024, early 2024, probably late 2024. But that sets it up for Spider-Man 2 this fall, probably something like a Last of Us Factions this year as well. Maybe one other surprise. Then you get to next year, and then bam, we're going to get a Ghost of Tsushima 2. And then maybe, and this is the last I heard, Wolverine was trying to hit holiday 2024 as well. I still think that's really aggressive for Insomniac.
It seems unlikely.
Yeah, seems unlikely. That's what I keep hearing, though. But seems unlikely. So, but it's like that works out. If everything goes according to that plan, then you got a good 2024 setup. And I had to look at the year. I keep saying, I'm like, is that right? Really, 2024?
Yeah.
And so then that's just a handful. That's a small number of announcements. It's a showcase. I would expect a lot bigger things. And then they're probably going to money hat a few third party publishers, so get some big games in there. They'll definitely keep doing that with Square Enix. They'll probably start doing that with some of these other publishers, and I think Sony will be pretty well set up here very soon. So I think people are still feeling anxious. You just spent $500 on a console. At least it feels that way, even if that is 2 years ago. I don't think people feel like they've gotten their money's worth out of these consoles yet. So it's like, man, what is that game going to come along that really makes me feel like, okay, I definitely had to have this thing. I'm so glad I got it right away. And I think that's going to happen here pretty soon.
It feels like there's more to come, right? I'm not like a slightly different way of saying that. It's not like it's not as if I feel haven't gotten my money's worth. I just assume that things are coming that will make that happen. So it's not entirely different, but like, again, we're sort of only 2.5 years. Like I'm realizing I'm making the exact opposit argument that I just made,
I think,
which is it feels like it's been out longer, but like it still feels like, there's so much more to be done here. You know?
I agree. And I think it's easy to have confidence in Sony because they're going to spend a lot of money making their games. All right. Suicide Squad. Let's just kind of hit this real quick. Kill the Justice League will require constant internet connection, even for single player mode. This comes from Luis Joshua Gutierrez at GameSpot. Rocksteady Studios, the developer behind the Batman Arkham series, has just confirmed that you'll need to have an internet connection to play Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. The news comes from the official Suicide Squad website under the FAQ section. One of the questions asks, is an internet connection required to play Suicide Squad? The answer is yes, an internet connection is required to play Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League solo or via online co-op. This doesn't sound like Hogwarts Legacy came out and people made a deal like, oh, this says right on the box you have to have an internet connection. But I think that's for like updates and for checking in here and there. It's not required constantly. This sounds much more like Redfall, another game that's going to require a consistent connection the entire time you're playing. Where are you at with this one? For me, Dave, I'm just like, I can't even. What can we do? This is just our future.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I don't get it. I would like an explanation.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because my thoughts run the gamut from like, are they just collecting all of the information they can, which seems weird. It's not that cynical things don't happen, but I'm not sure that my most cynical take is the truth either. Right.
They are definitely collecting data on everything you do in the games. Yes, 100%.
But is there anything else they're doing? I don't know. I don't want to invent reasons. I want them to explain it.
Yeah.
Are they processing in the cloud? Are they doing something? Are they feeding things in? Do they have some sort of technology that requires the game to stream in? I don't know.
I mean, Hitman 3 does this, and I guess all the Hitmans have done. But yeah, Hitman World of Assassination, and for the life of me, I can't exactly figure out why it needs to do that. Yeah, it would be cool if one of these studios would come out and say why. I'm sure there will be a a good public facing reason, and then I bet there is the real reason. And maybe some of that is piracy. I don't know. Does this? I haven't pirated games since I was a kid like this, so I mean, maybe people could tell me if you have to. If you try to play a PC pirated version of a game that needs to be online, does it just not work, or are there ways around that still? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I haven't a clue.
Mortal Kombat 12 confirmed. It's releasing in 2023. This comes from Cameron Coe at GameSpot. Mortal Kombat 12, long rumored but yet to be officially announced, has been confirmed by Warner Brothers Discovery's fourth quarter 2022 earnings call. It's set to release later this year. David Zaslav, Warner Brothers Discovery president and CEO and buffoon, announced that the game in a segment of the call discussing the company's games business. He stated that Mortal Kombat 12, along with Rocksteady's Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, are both set to arrive later this year with ambitious launch projections. This one was a really weird day because I've been like trying to tell people like things are weird at NetherRealm because things are weird at Discovery for a very long time. I know people are wondering what's up. Like, when's Injustice 3 coming along? I don't think they're actually doing that. I think the next thing's Mortal Kombat 12. Been saying that for more than a year. It's just weird then to see the CEO being like, yes, it's Mortal Kombat 12. I'm going to tell my investors so that they're happy. It's like, I bet the developers did not know you were going to do that. I bet they were unaware that you were just going to drop it like that, especially with a lot of opportunities coming up here pretty soon to either talk about the game or to just straight out announce it, being Evo, the PlayStation Showcase, other things happening around E3. They were probably going to talk about this game very soon, and the CEO is just like, yeah, we're doing it. But whatever. I guess it was a poorly kept secret anyhow. They've also leaked it out themselves at the studio. But yeah, Mortal Kombat 12, a game. Mortal Kombat 11 made a lot of money. Very little surprise that they're doing a 12th one, right?
What? Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
and NetherRealm, you say, is doing this?
Yes, the NetherRealm's going to make a Mortal Kombat game.
Yeah. They're very good at that.
Yes, they are. Yes. Yeah. And I think we're going to expect this one to, especially since they've taken some extra time on it. I think they're going to try to make that sort of next gen leap. Maybe they'll mix things up a little bit. They definitely did that after they had like 3 games and then they mixed things up. And then they did 3 games and they mixed things up. I think it's been, that trilogy of Mortal Kombat games did happen. Here we are again. They've taken a longer break. So I think they're going to try to step it up. What that will look like, we'll see. But it is by far one of the most lucrative fighting games ever made in terms of the series, and 11 specifically. 12 is going to come out and be a big success for them.
Of course. Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3 is dated for PC and PS5. Larian isn't ruling out an Xbox release, however. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. Following the announcement that Baldur's Gate 3 will be released for PS5 as well as PC, Larian Studios hasn't ruled out the game coming to Xbox as well. Alongside its reveal for Sony's console during a PlayStation State of Play presentation on Thursday, developer and publisher Larian confirmed an August 31st, 2023 release date for the RPG sequel. The news left some Xbox fans wondering whether the game will also be coming to the Series X/S consoles, and that led to the quote that was given to Push Square. Right now, Larian is planning to release Baldur's Gate 3 for PC, Mac, GeForce Now, and PS5. That said, they don't have an exclusivity and will announce support for additional platforms if and when they're ready. So basically the answer to like, okay, did Sony pay them to keep it off Xbox is no. I think that sounds right, Dave. To me, this is a situation where this is a smaller studio that's been working in early access for a long time on the PC version. They probably had the capacity to get one console version ready. And if you're doing that, the answer is PS5. You put it on PS5 first, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think it's a simple matter of priority. I mean, maybe they got some development assistance from Sony who would be
right. Maybe one could be paid them a little bit. Yes, totally.
Yeah, right. Perfectly happy to lend a hand or even some money to help them get it out on their system first, if not exclusively. But the obvious console is in fact the PlayStation 5.
Man, Ed Boon, I'm sorry, just real quick. Ed Boon has tweeted, so who has heard the news about Injustice 3? They're such trolls over there. He's just trolling everybody, right?
I think so.
Oh boy, that guy, I love him. But yeah, yes, right. Sony probably was the dad that stepped up and was like, hey, here you go. Here's some money and we'll make sure that we can help you get it on PlayStation. We'll do some co-marketing stuff. But we're not going to spring for the full exclusivity. It's a computer RPG. We probably don't think it's worth all that. But if you want some help, yeah, absolutely. This is a game that can stick out in a state of play. And I think that all makes sense. I think this game's going to be great on console. So people are going to will have a good time with it. It was probably the right move. And I think it'll probably come to Xbox very quickly, probably with that first major update sometime in early 2024, maybe even sooner. Hogwarts Legacy sells 12 million copies in 2 weeks, earns $850 million so far. This came from that same conference call that David Zaslav did with investors. Hogwarts Legacy sold at 12 million copies and drove $850 million in revenue across its first 2 weeks on sale. Warner Brothers Games announced. That makes it the biggest launch ever for Warner Brothers Games. Just for comparison, Activision's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 earned $1 billion in 10 days. So it's like just trending right behind that.
Pretty close.
Yeah. I think what I think about this when I read this headline, read this story, is what I've been told by people who work with some major publishers and what they've heard from a lot of these companies is getting getting big established IP from outside of gaming is the new trend. It is so hard to build a new game series that can sell 10 million copies on its own. It takes so much more effort to get that recognition, to get to that line. What we're going to do is we are going to go out and we're going to get a big IP. We're going to keep getting, Star Wars. We're going to go get Indiana Jones. We're going to get Hogwarts, Harry Potter stuff. And that's going to be the key. And I'm like, oh, really? That does sound like a good idea. I think clearly it's working in select cases. Hogwarts Legacy being, I think, the best example of it. But it's just so strange because at the same time, like, the movie industry is looking back over at games, like, what IP from games can we turn into movies?
Right.
They're like eating each other's lunch. And I don't know, it's so strange. It feels like in 5 years, this stuff's going to burn out pretty quickly. And this trend will just be like, scorched earth. But I don't know, maybe I'm being pessimistic. What do you think?
I think it only makes sense. I mean, you just don't have to start from stop, right? You can just tap into stuff. And it's sort of an inverse of the thing that happened when I was a kid, when we were kids. Like, games based on properties tended not necessarily to be good. Like, some of it was crappy or shovelware. And now people are spending they're spending blockbuster movie money on making a blockbuster game. And that, you want to talk about the movie industry, that's what works best, at least from a financial perspective, in the movies for the last several years, right? Your Marvel stuff, your Top Gun Maverick, which is all just IP based, right? Not starting from zero. So I don't know if it's going to burn itself out because it's kind of been working. Yeah,
I think, then we look over at Suicide Squad. It's like, oh man, you could make all the wrong decisions, and then kind of be in a situation where it's like, okay, I don't know, maybe the IP will still save them there, but just looking at it from the outside, it feels like, oh man, this looks like another Avengers situation. And Avengers, I think, is clearly an example of there's no guarantees here. Yeah. You still have to deliver the game that the fans that specifically want. And instead of trying to be like, we are going to make the game that we want to make because it can make us the most money for the longest period of time, and then we're going to use the IP, slap it on there, and that's going to be how we sort of foist it onto this audience. And I think it's what happened with Avengers. I think it's what's going to happen with Suicide Squad. It's kind of the opposite with what happened with Hogwarts Legacy. So maybe there's a lesson to be learned here where, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, another good example of a game that just respawns like, hey, let's go make a really good game. And we're going to make it a Star Wars game on top of that. And we'll make sure that we do the hard parts of telling a good Star Wars story and all that. But we're just going to make a good game, and it paid dividends. So there's lessons to be learned here. And I just wonder if the publishers are going to be able to actually get that, or if the promise of live service money, that long-term play, is too alluring to them, and they keep going back to that same move and keep making Avengers games.
That has to be the battle inside like every studio and every funding publisher, right? Which is like, how do we strike the balance between the game we'd make if money wasn't a factor and the demand to, this is not a charitable enterprise, you must make money, right?
Yes.
Who knows?
Yes, well, we'll see. I'm like always kind of keep my ear to the ground for that kind of stuff because I'm interested just to hear what the thinking is at the top of these companies. And but yes, just get ready, especially after the success of Hogwarts Legacy. There's going to be a lot more licensed games coming, more than there were even planned to be. And that's good news for John Drake, a guy who works at Disney, trying to get a lot of this made with partners. And one of the things he's been encountering is there's not enough studios out there taking these jobs. I think that might start to change a little bit as well. Forza Horizon 5's second expansion, Rally Adventure, has been revealed. This comes from Jordan Midler at VGC. Forza Horizon 5's second expansion has been announced, and it will have a rally theme. Shown off during a live stream, Rally Adventure takes place notionally north of the original Mexico map and will be released on March 29th. The expansion will feature an entirely new system of deformable terrain. Dave, I gotta tell you, when you want to like win me over immediately, just say deformable terrain. That's what got me.
I was gonna say,
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say notionally north.
Notionally north. That's your thing. Yeah, okay. I see. They got something for everybody in this game. In order to accurately simulate the weather and mud effects that are key to the rally experience, I just in snow runners and the spin tires, just watching tires go through mud and mess up mud in a way that looks realistic, and then just leaving a trail behind. I don't know what it is, but something about that just gets me. I'm like, that's poetry in video games. I love that.
Yeah, dude. And the engine is so great to make these games that you like, there is every expectation that that's not just going to be cool, but it's going to look great.
Yes. And it's going to, you're going to like be able to feel it because it looks so right. Like that's what I like. Drive purpose-built, rally monsters, and conquer the rugged Sierra Nueva, reads the expansion's official blurb. Join 3 rally teams and attack Horizon's most thrilling routes ever in Horizon Rally and Horizon Races. This sounds cool. I like the way that the Forza DLC works. You do a fun one, and then you do another one that is maybe more geared towards racing fans. And yet this one, Rally Adventure, is like a fun one that's geared towards racing fans. I really like the Forza Horizon series. I'm going to be checking this out. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Absolutely. Yep. Same with you. Like I'll do anything they do. Like they've earned my trust, basically.
Yes, right? Exactly.
I can't think of a swing and a miss at any point. So yeah, bring it on.
They really know what they're doing with this series, and they're gonna keep it going.
And I always feel like I forget how much I like racing games until something comes out and I play it, and I'm like, why don't I do this all the time?
Yeah, and that's you talk about like when we were younger and like movie games, be licensed games always being kind of bad. It was also the kind of thing like we knew that because when you're younger playing games back in those days, you kind of just played everything. You weren't like, oh, I don't play that genre. It's like if it was a game on the store shelf that you could rent, like, I'm probably going to try it. And so it's a new racing game. I don't care that much about cars. What does that have to do with anything? It's a new video game. I'm going to try it. So I just played all these things. And it's like these days, I think it's very easy to avoid a genre because there's so many more options. So I think there's a lot of people that don't try racing games because they don't care about cars in the same way I didn't as a kid. But it's like, man, this game is still just mostly a very good video game and definitely worth trying.
That's exactly it. Like it's not, Gran Turismo has could have put the idea that you had to be super serious about racing into your head. And that's not what these games are.
Yes.
It's not necessarily what that game is or has to be.
Gran Turismo's come back around a little bit too, where it's like, we're going to make this kind of just fun for anybody. And Gran Turismo 7 accomplished that, I think. God of War Ragnarok and Elden Ring were the big winners at the DICE Awards 2023 last night. Once again from Jordan Midler at VGC. Really putting the mid in Midler. Got you, Jordan.
Hey-o.
God of War Ragnarok and Elden Ring were the big winners at the 26th annual DICE Awards on Thursday. Sony's game scooped up 7 awards to From Software's 5, although Elden Ring picked up the coveted Game of the Year prize. God of War Ragnarok won Adventure Game of the Year, Outstanding Achievement in Audio Design, Outstanding Achievement in Original Music Composition, Outstanding Achievement in Character, Art Direction and Animation. I'm just going to stop reading the Outstanding Achievement in part. Yes, there was, that was 1, 2, 3, 4. I left one out because they said it won 7, but yes, you could just probably assume any category where it benefits spending lots of money trying to make something look or sound good. God of War Ragnarok won that one.
They did that.
Yes.
Yeah, they did that really well.
Yes, they do that really well. And then Elden Ring won Outstanding Technical Achievement, Role-Playing Game of the Year, Achievement in Game Design, and Achievement in Game Direction, as well as Game of the Year. A big year for really big games, and those games took it home. Now, I like the DICE Awards because it's voted on by other developers, kind of the same way as the Oscars. Although the Oscars have been so bad for so long, maybe like, why do I care what game developers think either? But I don't know. They usually have a pretty interesting take. It was kind of a foregone conclusion this year, though. Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, those are the biggest things in the world. Of course, they were going to win, right?
They're very good video games.
Yep.
And people who make video games also recognize that.
Yes.
It's not putting it down to say like these were great. here's all the awards.
Yes, exactly. Of course, other video games did win some awards. There was, Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker for Online Game of the Year, Marvel Snap for Mobile Game of the Year, Tunic for Outstanding Achievement for an Independent Game, and Vampire Survivors for Action Game of the Year. That's just a small selection there. But yeah, now that we've gotten the DICE Awards out of the way, 2023 can actually really begin. So there we go.
Is that how that works?
That's how it works. Yes, the final awards for last year out of the way. Now just flip your calendar over. There you go.
Got it.
Excellent. Good stuff. All right. I am going to get to the polls. So let's do that real quick. So yesterday I asked, is PlayStation 1's opening sound the best thing you've ever heard? 74% said yes, and 28% said the other option, yes, because it is the best thing anyone's ever heard. It's my favorite opening of all time. Of course, the creator of that sound did pass away yesterday or earlier this week. Once again, rip. Man, I love that sound. I always loved it. It's whenever I play a game on my Steam Deck that runs on the PlayStation 1 emulator and it pops off with that sound, I'm just like transported and just like stunned and stun locked in place. It's that good. Although a lot of people offered up some other ones. A lot of people like the GameCube one. The Dreamcast one is very good. PlayStation 2 is very good. But man, it just doesn't get better than the PS1 opening chime to me. I don't know how you feel about it. What do you think?
I'm right there with you. It's like listening to a song.
Yes.
I mean, genuinely, it's a little tune, but it just takes you back to a place. Certainly for me. Yes,
same here. And it's just, I don't know, it feels so full, like a wall of sound. And it just like gets into it. I don't know. The GameCube one is like ding, 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 ding. I love it. I love it. The Dreamcast is the same way. Like, it's like a little playful. I want one that's just gonna punch me in the face with sound. And that's what the PlayStation 1 does. That was the point of it. Yes.
Right. Like the idea that this is back in the era where it was like, oh, ED quality sound from a game console was a huge thing. It's like with laser discs. That was very important to me because I was super cool and I wanted CD quality sound.
Yeah, the PS3 people are putting out PS3 now, and like that one's too pretentious for me. I'm sorry. It's like we're working up the orchestra. I don't like that one as much.
Can we talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I spent a lot of time on the PS2. Do you remember the clock? It was like just sitting on the clock screen, listening and watching to that or watching that. Yeah, that was a bigger deal in earlier consoles, I guess.
Yeah, I think. At a certain point, they're like, "Oh, we'll get a few more. The next menu will load like 0.05% faster if we get rid of this music." And it's like, oh, "Okay, man, I get it, optimization, but we lost something." It's like, "Yeah, but they spend more money on the store if they can get to the store faster." All right, fine.
It could be. You know, what's a weird version of this that is literally no music is you remember in the first Halo on the original Xbox where there were no loading screens, but it would pause the screen for 3 seconds as it loaded. And like, there was nothing objectively good about that. And yet it melts my heart. Like I learned to love it.
Yep. Place and time that can really just, you learn to love it. Yep. Exactly. All right. I have a new poll that I'm going to put up for Monday. But while I do that, Dave, why don't you tell people where they can find you, what you got going on, your Twitter feed, anything like that, anything you want to promote? I don't know. It's all up to you. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much. I have been just quietly sort of invisible lately. I'm going to sort of dip my toe back into Twitter and public life. As I said at the beginning, I'm kind of terrible at promoting myself, but I shouldn't be.
You shouldn't
as an independent worker, especially
a really good independent worker. Come on, you rule.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Oh, stop. Where am I? The most public-facing thing I do now is I produce a podcast for the Lego Group. It's called Bits and Bricks. Love you back. Thanks. It is Bits and Bricks started as a podcast celebrating 25 years of Lego video games. And so basically every episode is about a game, and that makes it totally evergreen. You can just go back, go search for Bits and Bricks. I'm the guy behind the scenes producing it, helping to get it done. Very occasionally talking on it because I joined after they began. But we're working on some stuff for the Lego Group as well. So, you can dip back into any of those and listen to those. But if you wouldn't mind subscribing, that'd be great because there's secret stuff coming up. I want to be able to say like, oh, I'm doing some stuff. I can't really talk about it now, Jeff. You know how people do that in interviews. That's what I'm doing now.
I like that though. That's exciting.
Important.
It's teasing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, for right now, go check out Bits and Bricks.
Dan Riker used to try to make podcasts at WWE, and
I remember.
Yeah, Vince McMahon just basically said no to every single thing. Apparently, that's just like, he never got the entire time he was there. He never got to put a podcast out. He's told that story publicly, everybody, a bunch of times. So I'm not telling tales out of school or anything like that. But I just like I was just imagining a Vince McMahon like Lego guy coming on down and saying, "Oh yeah, you've been putting all this work in this stuff, Dave Tach. No, we're not going to actually release that. Put it back in the vault and try again." No, not like that. It's not like that over there. No, you're all good.
Fun. We have an episode on Rock Raiders. Mr. McKinstry linked. Yep.
I've definitely dug through that podcast before for news tidbits. I'm like, they're talking about video games and stuff. I'm sure there's going to be interesting stuff in there, and there always is. Absolutely. All right, we got the new poll. This one will be for Monday. Rate the state of play. It's easy. A, B, C, D, or lower. I want to hear what you think. We'll talk about it. I would actually suggest like keep it in context what the state of play is trying to be, but vote with your heart. That's fine. We'll talk about it on Monday. In the meantime, here on Giant Bomb, we have UPF happening. We will be playing. We're going to do a little catch-up episode. We're going to catch up on some games that have fallen through the cracks, including Atomic Heart, which we did record a quick look of. The video got a little bit smudged and mudged, and so we're gonna play it in the UPF today. So join us for that. That'll be 4 p.m. In between now and then, we're going to be recording some stuff for next week, maybe a handful of other things, maybe planning some quick looks. But thank you for joining me today, everybody. And Dave Tach, thank you so much for spending today talking with me about video games. I love it.
I love it too. Thank you very much. Thank you, chat, for being so nice.
That's right. Thank you, chat. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.